just on that point that the both fighters want this fight to take place, is it worth just clarifying, because we've seen a lot of accusations, both sides, people saying he's pulled out the fight, saying Tyson's ducking him, and then they're saying no, Usyk's the guy that pulled out the negotiations. Is it fair to say both of them are modern day greats, and we're going to find out who's the best, because they both want to fight each other, and the reason it didn't happen before, it appears, was basically you just couldn't negotiate financially what you felt you was worth on the time?
Listen, when you have the result, you don't care much about the means you've reached the result. But I can share my personal thoughts about this. Until now, I don't think Tyson Fury wants to fight Alexander Usyk. He is forced to fight Alexander Usyk because the deal he was offered is so attractive that he can't help accepting it. So, the deal says that you can get this amount of money if you fight the unified heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk. So this is the only condition. And if you have no other alternatives and you want to get this huge amount of money, then you have to give your consent. But Tyson is not just a great champion, not just a great fighter, but he's also very smart. He has an extended knowledge of boxing. He's like an expert in boxing. We've seen that before when he's on the history of boxing, on analyzing the capacity of the fighters. And he knows for sure that Usyk is the biggest threat for him, physically, because he's a southpaw. He's extremely active on the footwork. He has very high boxing IQ. It means that he can invent things inside the fight. He is very disciplined. This is the huge advantage. And he's very goal-oriented, and he has a big heart.
Those are the words of Alexander Usyk, as you heard him say that Tyson, more or less, was forced into this fight. I think the wording, though, forced, I think it's pretty much lured into this fight, because Tyson could have always said no, and he could have turned the money down as well. But speaking of money, if it was the amount of money that Tyson was tempted by to lure him in, or in this case, forced, I think it makes sense, and it should make sense. Why? Because if Tyson Fury is a businessman, that's exactly what he would be looking at. He would be looking at the amount of money that he would be making versus what he wouldn't be making if he didn't fight Alexander Usyk. See, Tyson Fury could do whatever he really wanted to do, but the money has to be there. And that makes sense to me simply because if you guys can remember, the rumor was Tyson Fury asked for more money when offered a certain amount of money to fight Usyk the first time. And I think it was 60 million, and I think he asked for 120 million or something like that. And so I think maybe that might have had something to do with the comparison of what Anthony Joshua got in Saudi Arabia and versus what he wanted, because he wanted to be or make more money than Anthony Joshua, because, Anthony was pretty much living in Tyson's head for a while, for a minute, and he was always talking about the bodybuilder. And then remember Derek Chisora come forth, and I think Tyson wants to have sex with AJ, the bodybuilder, right? And I think all that had to do with the fact that Tyson Fury was in a competition with Anthony Joshua, but Anthony Joshua was defeated by a guy, and I think the guy that defeated Anthony Joshua was overlooked versus the direct comparison or competition with Anthony Joshua. See, the whole idea is, don't worry about the guy that was beaten. You worry about the guy that beat him, okay? And I think Tyson Fury knew, like Alexander Usyk said, well, the biggest threat was always Usyk because he was never beat. The only thing I've told you guys about Tyson Fury, what he said about Usyk was never his boxing ability, was never the fact that he couldn't do certain things. He had to use what? His size, because he knew, well, I can't attack him. He's not chinny. He's not slow. He's not inexperienced. He's not, overrated. He has a lot of things going for him. So the one thing he could do is middleweight, rabbit, right? Small, gappy teeth. You know what I mean? He had to invent some stuff about Usyk because there's not really a lot that you can say derogatory about the man. You know what I mean? So, and I think he knows that. Now, this is Alexander Usyk's personal opinion. Now, the question is, do I believe that? I think the money offered to Tyson Fury was just too much to turn down, like an offer you can't refuse type situation. And I do respect how they made the deal, because I think if Tyson knew what Usyk was making versus what he's making, that would affect how he feels that he should get paid. So I'm glad they did the deal separate, simply because it's like, well, that takes the ego out of it. Like, well, why is he getting paid this and that and the other? It kind of reminds me of the Wilder deal, when DAZN offered Wilder a certain amount of money to fight AJ, or to fight on DAZN, and that DAZN package included fighting AJ in 2 fights. And the stupidest thing to me was their concern on what the other fighter was getting, which made no sense. Now, if you look and fast forward to this situation and compare it, it's good that they don't reveal that. And it's good and it just shows you how dumb that was, okay? Because that was a dumb question. Well, what does AJ get in comparison to Deontay? Why would you care? The deal is for you, and this is your deal, okay? Not your deal compared to somebody else's deal. I think that's childish, really. I think that's all about ego and what you feel you're worth, and an inflated ego and self-absorbed bullshit, okay? And I'm glad Tyson reached a number from the Saudis that he was tempted enough to sign the dotted line. Because remember, whoever it was, Skills Challenge or whoever, Usyk signed that contract. Okay, so we already knew who was more eager for this fight. And it damn sure wasn't Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, was just tempted enough with amount of money that was in front of him to take that fight. So that's why Alexander Usyk said he was forced. So he was pretty much forced by compensation. Like, look, we're giving you this. This is the offer. Do you like it or you don't? And thank God Tyson said, I do. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Alexander Usyk and his opinion on Tyson Fury being forced to fight Alexander Usyk, this fight and the next fight. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!